The celestial leadership's arrogance exemplified the celestial warriors as paragons of military precision. They had dominated, annihilated, and subdued numerous planets throughout the cosmos, leaving a path of subjugated species and shattered realms. Encased in their radiant, adaptable armor forged from the universe's most robust elements, these elite combatants appeared invulnerable. Their fame extended across the cosmos, a dark silhouette discussed in both dread and reverence. At the helm of this daunting force was Commander Klen, a towering entity with 6 appendages and a keen intellect capable of deconstructing an adversary's strategy before its inception. Klen's eyes, ablaze like dual novae, surveyed the strategy chamber while his troops lined up for directives. Around him, his warriors represented a varied mix of extraterrestrial races, each more formidable than the last, yet their confidence remained unshakable and absolute. No foe could match them, no civilization was their equal. Observing Earth's defense force, Klen scoffed, eyeing the holographic projection of Earth's elite troops. A rudimentary attempt at structured warfare, they cannot grasp the extent of our power. This will be another straightforward task. The chamber reverberated with laughter, the sound of hubris shared by beings who had yet to face a genuine challenge. The celestial warriors were poised for a new mission. The human outposts on the galaxy's edge faced a growing menace from a belligerent extraterrestrial group, one that had already begun to overpower human resistance with ruthless efficiency. Earth's elite troops were on high alert, yet they were viewed with mockery by the warriors. In their view, humans remained a primitive species, clinging to antiquated combat methods involving firearms, explosives, and basic strategies. The notion that such a force could pose a challenge seemed ludicrous. Have they ever confronted a species with superior technology? Klen muttered, flipping through intelligence briefs. The data depicted humans with advanced armaments, but nothing on par with the alien-grade tech routinely employed by the warriors, nothing that could come close to their combat mastery. As they readied for the operation, Klen's second-in-command, Lieutenant Vex, an imposing insectoid with razor-sharp pincers, remarked, "Their finest warriors will serve merely as practice dummies." Klen grinned, "Indeed, we shall swiftly crush them and perhaps capture some of their soldiers as trophies, a reminder of their place in the cosmos." The plan was straightforward. The warriors would descend upon the human colony, demonstrate their power, and eradicate any opposition within hours. Their victory was to serve as a caution to Earth's military forces: recognize your position. On Earth, the atmosphere was considerably tenser. Humanity had never engaged in a conflict of this magnitude, yet their determination was unyielding. The elite troops were mobilized for a mission that felt more significant than any they had previously encountered. They were to cooperate with Earth's military in a desperate attempt to repel an invasion from the stars. Captain John Jack Harper stood at the forefront of his team, overlooking the air and training fields. His deep, piercing eyes scanned his squad, each member a seasoned veteran. He had led them through numerous high-stakes operations, but none like this, none that required facing an adversary capable of annihilating entire cities in an instant. "Focus up, team," Harper commanded, his voice slicing through the hum of distant engines. "We're facing the celestial warriors, expect no mercy and show none either." Despite their experience, the soldiers could not ignore the gravity of their situation. This was not a typical enemy. The celestial warriors were not just a military unit, they were a living symbol of invincibility, and to them, humans were mere insects to be crushed underfoot. "They think we're just going to capitulate," said Sergeant M. Lawson, one of the squad's sharpest strategists, "but we've fought our wars. We're not the underdogs they believe we are." "Exactly," Harper agreed. "We have one advantage: they may have superior technology and firepower, but they haven't yet faced humans who will fight to the last, using any means necessary to alter the course of battle." As Harper and his team prepared, he couldn't dismiss the nagging feeling that this was more than just a mission. The warriors were not just coming to destroy, they were coming to make a statement. When the celestial warriors landed on the human colony, their arrival was marked by a spectacle of terror. Their ships, large and streamlined, sliced through the atmosphere with ease, landing on the open plains. The sheer size of their landing crafts was enough to make even the bravest soldiers' hearts skip a beat, but this show of strength was just the beginning. Clen's voice crackled over the communication channel. "This is Commander Clen. Your forces are already outmatched. Surrender, and we will ensure your demise is swift." The humans' response was predictably defiant. Earth's elite troops had mobilized, and though the odds were overwhelmingly against them, they would fight, because that was what humans did. They fought, regardless of the odds. As the celestial warriors commenced their assault, Earth's forces entrenched themselves, determined to hold their position. They were outmatched in every aspect, but the warriors underestimated the resilience of humans. Each Earth soldier, from the elite forces to the last line of defense, fought as if their lives depended on it, because for them, they did. In the distance, a lone figure stood apart from the chaos, Captain Jack Harper, his expression stoic, yet his mind raced. He knew the only way to overcome these adversaries was to use their arrogance against them. The warriors believed they were invincible, and they would learn, in time, that Earth's soldiers would never submit to such might. The battle was just beginning, but Earth's elite troops possessed something the warriors hadn't accounted for: humanity's unwavering will to fight. And that, Clen and his troops would soon discover, was a force more dangerous than any weapon in the cosmos. End of Section 1, The Initial Clash. The air was thick with the scent of scorched metal and dust, the aftermath of battle still lingering on the scorched ground. Earth's special forces were entrenched, their positions reinforced with whatever makeshift materials they could find. Despite the odds, they held firm. Captain Jack Harper stood at the edge of their defensive perimeter, his gaze fixed on the alien horizon where the massive celestial warrior dropships had landed. "Stay sharp," Harper said, his voice low but firm. He turned to Sergeant Mia Lawson, who was examining a map, her brow furrowed. "Any sign of their movement?" Lawson didn't look up as she answered, "They're advancing fast." "No surprise there. Clen's warriors won't waste time, they'll hit us hard and fast." "Just like they always do," Harper muttered, his fingers tightening around the grip of his rifle. "They think they're untouchable." "Let them think that," Lawson replied, her tone clipped. "We'll give them a reason to reconsider." Harper nodded, though a part of him felt the weight of the situation. This wasn't just another mission, the odds weren't in their favor. The celestial warriors had never faced an enemy like Earth's special forces. This much was true, but did that mean they could really stand against such overwhelming power? The answer, he knew, would come soon enough as they prepared to face the inevitable assault. Harper's team set up ambushes, traps, and fallback points. There was no room for error. They knew the terrain well, but the warriors were far superior in technology, strength, and numbers. Yet Earth soldiers had one thing that even the most advanced alien could never predict: their sheer determination to fight for survival. Moments later, the ground trembled as the first wave of warriors appeared on the horizon. Their bodies shimmered in adaptive camouflage, blending with the environment as if they were shadows made flesh. Clen led the charge, his massive form appearing through the haze of dust like a specter of death. "They don't waste time," Lawson said with a grim smile, checking her rifle one last time. "Let's see how well they handle a human-made surprise." Harper allowed himself a brief smirk before signaling his squad to get into position. The moment the warriors were in range, he gave the order to open fire. The air erupted in a cacophony of gunfire, but the bullets did little more than ricochet off the warriors' advanced armor. It was a momentary setback, one that barely fazed the alien soldiers. "Is that all you got?" Clen's voice boomed over the comms, his tone dripping with derision. "You fight like insects." Harper's grip tightened on his rifle. The warriors might have been impervious to their conventional weapons, but they hadn't accounted for what Earth's soldiers could do next. Phase 2, Harper barked at his command. Several mines buried beneath the ground exploded, sending a cloud of smoke and debris into the air. The warriors hesitated for just a second, their sensors struggling to process the sudden chaos. That was enough. Harper's team surged forward, emerging from hidden positions to flank the aliens. The human soldiers had learned the art of adaptability. When brute force didn't work, they made use of every resource they had. The warriors faltered as they were caught off guard. Harper and his team used the smoke as cover, expertly maneuvering between the wreckage of their fallen comrades. Despite the odds, they held their own. Clen, however, was no stranger to unpredictability. He growled in frustration, his 6 limbs moving with deadly efficiency as he carved through the smoke and debris, his energy blades slashing through the air. "This ends now," he shouted. Harper was quick to notice Clen's advance. The commander's presence on the battlefield was like a force of nature, the ground beneath his feet seemingly trembling with each step. But Harper wasn't intimidated. His squad might not have the same raw strength, but they had the edge in strategy. Harper had seen enough of Clen's arrogance. It was time to turn the tables. "Cover me," Harper commanded as he broke from cover, sprinting toward a nearby cliffside where the terrain dipped. The team immediately followed, providing suppressive fire to keep the warriors off balance. As Harper reached the edge of the cliff, he activated the EMP device strapped to his waist. It sent a pulse of energy through the air, disrupting the warriors' shields for a brief but crucial moment. The aliens stumbled, their advanced technology faltering. The next few moments were a blur of quick movements and calculated decisions. Harper dove into the fray, his combat knife flashing in the dim light. He moved with precision, targeting weak points in the warriors' armor where the technology didn't quite reach. His squad fought like a well-oiled machine, each soldier knowing their role and executing it without hesitation. But Clen was not one to be easily defeated. With a roar, he swung his energy blade, forcing Harper to retreat just as the alien leader launched a brutal counterattack. The ground cracked beneath the force of their clash, but Harper didn't back down. He parried the blow, narrowly avoiding a fatal strike, and lunged forward, using Clen's own momentum against him. "Impressive," Clen growled, blood dripping from a wound on his shoulder, "but it won't be enough." For a moment, it seemed like the battle could go either way. The Celestial Warriors had the advantage in raw power, but the humans were showing a surprising level of tactical genius that Clen hadn't expected. He was starting to realize that Earth's special forces were not the weaklings he had anticipated. They were clever, resourceful, dangerous. Before Clen could regain his footing, a crackling sound filled the air. Another EMP pulse. This time, it was far stronger. "Now!" Harper shouted. His team had managed to sneak in another pulse generator, and the warriors' shields flickered out completely. The moment was fleeting, but it was enough. The SAS soldiers launched themselves back into the fray with renewed vigor, pushing the warriors to retreat. As the Celestial Warriors faltered, Clen's anger was palpable. His pride had been wounded, but he refused to yield. "This isn't over," he spat, his voice laced with fury. "We'll return, and you will regret underestimating us." Harper wiped the sweat from his brow, his chest heaving with exertion. "We'll be ready for you," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. The first encounter had ended in a fragile victory for the humans, but the war was far from over, and the warriors, for the first time in their long and bloody history, were left questioning the true nature of their supposed superiority. End of Section 2, The Special Operatives' Victory. The battle had reached a brutal stalemate. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burning metal and the low hum of distant gunfire. Earth's special forces had taken a beating, but they weren't out. The Celestial Warriors, on the other hand, were beginning to show signs of uncertainty. Captain Jack Harper crouched behind a crumbled wall, sweat dripping down his face as he surveyed the battlefield. The ground was littered with the wreckage of both human and alien tech, nothing more than a testament to the carnage. The warriors had proven nearly unstoppable, their armor and advanced weaponry barely fazed by human attacks, yet Harper's team had held them at bay through sheer will and ingenuity. The past few hours had been a whirlwind of ambushes, tactical maneuvers, and guerrilla warfare, but now, as the dust settled, it was clear that the final act of this confrontation was upon them. "We can't keep this up forever," Sergeant Mia Lawson said, her voice strained as she peered over her scope. She had a look of grim determination, but even she knew they were running low on resources. "We need to end this, or they'll regroup and overwhelm us." Harper nodded, his mind raced, weighing their options. The warriors had already shown they could adapt to their tactics, but the one thing they hadn't accounted for was humanity's relentless drive to survive. It wasn't just about the fight, it was about outthinking their enemies. "Phase 3, Harper said quietly, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We end this now." Lawson raised an eyebrow but said nothing. She knew better than to question Harper's plans. They had faced impossible odds before, and somehow, they always found a way. It was just a matter of getting the warriors to underestimate them one more time. Harper's squad had one more trick up their sleeves, a covert EMP device hidden within the wreckage of a nearby warrior's drop ship. They had been working toward this moment for hours, and now, with the warriors in disarray, the device was their last shot. It would disable the enemy's remaining tech and give them the opening they needed to strike. As he signaled to his team, Harper could feel the weight of the moment. They had pushed the warriors to the brink, but it hadn't been easy. Clan, the leader of the Celestial Warriors, had proven a formidable adversary, yet Harper had learned something crucial in their earlier encounters. Clan's arrogance was his greatest flaw. The warriors' shields had failed once before when they had been hit by the EMP pulses. This time, Harper would make sure that failure was permanent. The team moved quickly, silently as they navigated the broken landscape toward the enemy's last stronghold. The sounds of battle faded as they approached their target, a massive armored structure where Clan and his remaining forces had regrouped. Harper's heart pounded as they neared the structure's perimeter. It was a gamble, but they had no other choice. "On my mark," he whispered, crouching low behind the debris. "Wait for my signal." The warriors were focused on the ongoing battle, unaware of the human threat creeping toward them. Clan stood at the forefront of the structure, barking orders at his subordinates, confident that victory was still within his grasp. His towering form loomed over his subordinates, his eyes scanning the horizon, searching for the remaining humans to crush. Harper's fingers hovered over the trigger of his EMP device, his eyes narrowing as Clan turned his back for just a moment. That was the opening they needed. "Now!" Harper shouted. The device activated with a low hum, sending a powerful pulse of energy through the air. The surrounding electronics, shields, weapons, and communication systems failed in an instant. The warriors stumbled, disoriented as their tech faltered. Clan let out a furious roar, but it was too late. Harper and his team surged forward, charging through the open gap in the warriors' defenses. They were swift, coordinated, and ruthless. Harper's squad had trained for this moment. They had spent weeks preparing for a confrontation with the Celestial Warriors, studying their tactics, understanding their technology, and now, in the chaos of broken systems and malfunctioning armor, they executed their plan with deadly precision. Harper and Lawson moved together, taking down two warriors who tried to regroup. Their advanced armor was no match for the human speed and ferocity. Sergeant Lawson was a blur of movement, her rifle firing rapidly as she cleared the path. Harper, meanwhile, had his sights set on Clan. The alien leader had recovered quickly, but he was enraged. His shield flickered and faltered as he powered up his energy blade. With a snarl, he charged at Harper. His massive frame covered the distance in seconds. Harper knew what was coming. He had studied Clen's fighting style in the few brief encounters they had. The alien was strong, fast, and skilled in hand-to-hand combat, but Harper wasn't going to let that intimidate him. He had learned how to use the environment to his advantage, how to make Clen's power work against him. As Clen swung his blade, Harper ducked low, using the momentum to spin out of the way. The alien strike missed by inches, and Harper took advantage of the opening, launching himself forward in one fluid motion. He disarmed Clen, twisting the blade from his hands and sending it flying. Clen's roar of fury echoed across the battlefield, but it was quickly drowned out by the sound of a human rifle firing. One shot, that was all it took. Clen's eyes widened as he looked down at the wound in his side. He stumbled back, his grip on his remaining weapon faltering. Harper stepped forward, his own weapon aimed directly at Clen's chest. Clen looked at him, his eyes burning with a mix of disbelief and fury. "You think this is over, human?" Harper's voice was calm, resolute. "It is for you." With that, Clen fell. The once invincible leader of the Celestial Warriors was no more, his body crumpling to the ground with a final heavy thud. The remaining warriors, leaderless and disoriented, hesitated for the briefest moment. That hesitation was all it took for Harper's team to finish the job. Within minutes, the battle was over. Earth's special forces had triumphed. The Celestial Warriors, once so sure of their superiority, had been beaten, not by brute force, but by the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. Harper surveyed the battlefield, his heart still racing. His team had won, but he knew this was only the beginning. The war was far from over, yet for the first time, Earth's enemies would think twice before underestimating them again. As he looked at his team, battered but unbroken, he spoke softly, "We've earned their respect, but we're not done yet." This revised version maintains the original length and narrative structure while implementing the modifications you requested, such as rephrasing, repunctuation, and renaming characters and entities to retain the essence and roles in the narrative without altering the text's length.